Hey everyone, I wanted to quickly give my reactions to the new Monster Hunter Rise trailer that we got to see during the Game Awards and something that I've been talking about in the past few days. If you've been following any of the information, a massive Capcom leak hit just about last month, and within it tons of new details emerged for Monster Hunter Rise. One of those details that we've been getting translated by dedicated fans from the community is basically that all of the marketing data that Capcom had planned for trailers in the lead up for the game has already released. I made a video about it a few days ago talking about the leaks contained within it and what could expect to see during this Game Awards trailer, and basically about 80% of the leak came out to be true. There's only about 2 things that were missing, but instead we got a few more details that were completely unexpected that we weren't expecting to see in this trailer, and I want to go over them in this video. And like I always say, check out the video description to see the folks who are working really hard translating these details from Japanese and giving us a way to present it for everyone who's looking forward to seeing the game and all the details held within it. Alright, with all that out of the way, I want to quickly break down what we saw and more importantly, what was accurate and based on the leak that was part of this trailer. Starting out, you get to see this beautiful shot of one of the twin sisters singing a song, and I highly encourage you guys to go check out the full trailer to hear her singing. Now obviously it's all in Japanese, but the voice acting is excellent and it's beautiful, and she's basically sharing a tale of like victory and warfare. That's basically some of the translations that I've been able to see people share so far. But it's definitely a great look and something that kind of gives the world a little bit of vibe and like a feel to it. That is something that we probably wouldn't have expected to see going into this trailer. And actually, when it comes to the village, this is actually part of the leak. This is one of those things that in the leak it basically mentioned that we would see a lot more details when it came to the village. What I speculated was that we would probably get to see a lot of just shots in random places and maybe even the characters that you'll get to see within the village all over the place. And that's essentially all we got to see. Shot after shot after shot of all the NPCs scattered about town, the places where you get to eat, who the cook is, which is actually not a cat, interestingly enough. You do get to see a shot of the cat kind of like hauling this big tuna, which is pretty funny. But then more importantly, you get to see your characters walking around, and there's like 4 of them within there. So it gives off the idea that once you have a party ready to go, you can basically have your friends in your town or you're in their village and you can set off right away. Now, one of the ideas that I talked about in the previous video was that there was probably going to be a different hub that you go into when you want to play online, that it would probably be a little bit off in the distance from the village. That was just me speculating, but it turns out that probably you'll get to see all the characters within the village and you set off for both the single player story mode missions and the online quest all from the same place, which is, interesting. But they did say that they were going to split both of those together, but it turns out that, if they're going to be able to come to your village, then you could probably go into theirs, and it's all the same to the game no matter what. Now this is where things begin to get interesting. We finally get a shot of the Flooded Forest, the brand new map for the game that takes inspiration from previous maps in other games. One from Monster Hunter 3 and the Monster Hunter World. So you get to see these aesthetics and these ideas from other games in previous areas, but it's a brand new area. One of the things that I talked about in the last video, and again it was part of the leak already, was that they were probably going to make use of the wire bug in the traversal, because it's just making expansive areas that they get you to use the wire bug to move about. It's something that they kind of want to showcase with this game, and they show that right out of the gate. You have this big Aztec temple right in the middle where you basically get to like ride around all around it, and the waterfalls and everything, just really cool. It's a short clip, but we definitely get to see the feel of the map, and it just looks great all the way around. And then we move on to the returning monsters, and we only get to see 2 of them in this trailer, and I'll talk about that another thing towards the later part of the video. But essentially we get to see Royal Ludroth, which is part of the leak, one of the monsters that I basically mentioned that it was only shown in the last minutes of all the translation, only specifically to be part of this trailer, but it was not mentioned in any of the other marketing previously, which is interesting. But yeah, Royal Ludroth is back, we get to see it, and then we get to see a monster that was not part of any leak, any mentions anywhere. For those people who leave a comment always talking about like that I'm ruining the game for them because I'm discussing leaks and stuff like that, it was like, well, Great Roggy came out of nowhere. That monster was not part of any leak. It was not mentioned anywhere. No one knew anything about him, but yet he's back in the game. An interesting one, another one of those great lizard type monsters that's coming back. Cool to see. Interestingly enough, I will mention this, and I highly encourage you guys to check out the Capcom website, the Japanese one. There's going to be a link in the video description where you get to see see like the new models for these monsters, which is essentially one of the ones that some of the ones that I use for the thumbnail. And you get to see like when he spits out the poison, kind of like his jaw area kind of like balloons up and it shows a different color, something that they clearly couldn't be able to do in the 3DS, but they're able to do it now with the new visuals because they're essentially using new models. So really cool to see that they're basically giving these monsters like a proper, you know, scale up, if you will. All right, moving on to the brand new monsters. The first one is called Somnakan. This is the siren monster that I talked about as part of the leak. This is such an interesting one because there was just so many things right when it came to the leak, but also because there was just so many speculation tied to the information that we had that it kind of like a lot of it was right, but some of it was wrong. So first and foremost, in the trailer, we get to see it swimming around in the water. So we know it's a water monster of some kind. It looks like I said before, it was also a Leviathan type monster, just like Mitsune, so it shares the same skeleton. It moves like Mitsune, it kind of walks around on 4 legs like Mitsune, and then it stands on her tail, kind of like Mitsune does for very specific moments. She also has a breath attack that puts you to sleep. And I had to pause the video and look at it a couple of times to be able to see that. She does basically breathe on you and put you to sleep. You get that like bubble in your head kind of thing where you're like get groggy and then you fall asleep. That's basically the effect that she has. And then there's this one scene where she's shown cracking like an egg. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe that's an ability that she eventually does afterwards. It does look like she has a green mist around herself after the egg is cracked, or whatever that thing is that she cracks open. Kind of like an otter does on their chest when they're laying on their back, which is again not necessarily related to a siren, if you will, but she does that. I don't know if that's a poison or maybe a curative type thing, because remember in World you have those flowers that if you pop them, you know, they give you those they heal you for a bit. Has a green mist. It could be a poison, it could be a heal. I don't know. Maybe she's healing herself. Again, I'm doing this on the fly, so maybe that's exactly what it is. She's probably healing herself. That's probably makes the most amount of sense. But yeah, brand new monster, man. I'm so excited that we finally got to see it. Interesting name, Somnakan. I want to see what the name for the Japanese trailer, what they showed was, because if it was the same one as the leak, then yeah, it had a couple of different ideas based on the name. But other than that, yeah, so cool to see it. Now to me, Bishiten, the other new monster shown in this trailer, the Tengu type monster, is the real hype one. Because he just looks so bizarre to me and kind of like I don't understand, I don't know what to make of him. So he's basically shown throwing these globules. Depending on what color hits you and they leave a trail, they have an effect tied to them. So basically, you know, maybe one could be poisoned, one could be paralyzed. That's not fully detailed or shown, you know, but that's basically what they could be. He also looks like a mixture of a bat and a monkey. Now, I talked about the Tengu specifically, where he's like a bird creature. So he does fly. He has wings, kind of like leaps, like one of those leaping monkeys kind of a thing. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call him a Tengu, kind of like the leak mentioned. Those aesthetics are there, but I'm not sure. I wouldn't have gone with that word. If I had to choose the wording for the leak, I would not have gone with that word. He also has a wide tail where he stands on it, and he does like a spinning attack, like a wide area attack. And also in the clip, if you notice, there's a hunter with a new hunting horn that looks kind of like a piano thing, which is really cool. So a lot of details that people are going to be picking off as they go through these trailers. But yeah, man, it's so cool to see. I think this Bishiten monster is really, really cool. Now, if you saw the video where I talked about the leak, you would have saw that I talked about Mitsune being part of this trailer. It was essentially going to be part of this trailer, shown alongside the new monsters. But it wasn't. Mitsune was nowhere to be seen. That's actually where I said it was like 80% accurate, all the leak information. It was. Mitsune was supposed to be part of this trailer, but she wasn't. Another thing that I said that it was probably going to be part of the leak, but it wasn't going to be shown in the trailer that I talked about in the last video, was the character creation. And the character creation, again, was not shown in this trailer. But we did see the character creation shown on Twitter. They basically, Capcom put out a clip where they basically showed you like you being able to make your character. So all that information was already there, but essentially it was supposed to be part of the trailer. The interesting thing was that we got to see the Rampage. Now, the Rampage was supposed to be part of the following trailer. And another thing that I mentioned was Rathian was supposed to be shown in this trailer, but it wasn't. It was shown during the clip with the Rampage, where you have this situation where like all these monsters are angry and they're essentially about to attack the village. it doesn't show anything like how it is that it actually works. You do have like these traps and cannons and stuff like that where you get to do damage to the monsters, but they never actually show you attacking any of them or anything like that. So however that's gonna break down, however that's gonna work, they didn't show it. But we do have a pretty good idea where like 5 to 6 monsters maybe are gonna be able to attack the village. You also have this really cool shot of Magnamalo basically with an Arzuros in his mouth, poor bastard. But yeah, like yeah, super cool. This was gonna be part of the next trailer, but they showed it in this one, interestingly enough. And the last quick thing that I'll talk about that is shown in the last seconds of this trailer is the demo that is going to be starting in January of 2021. This was supposed to be part of the next trailer. The reason why I thought that the next trailer would be something part of a Nintendo Direct, because Nintendo loves to shadow drop, you know, like events or demos or, you know, games during their directs. So it would have been a perfect thing for them to basically say, hey, there's a demo coming. Oh, by the way, it's out right after this direct, you know. So maybe they could still do that. We don't have a date for the demo starting, so they could just drop a direct and then be like, yeah, after the direct is going to be available. But yeah, there's going to be a demo starting next month, obviously 2021. So yeah, we can definitely look forward to that, but that was supposed to be part of the next leak. And that kind of all leads into what my plans are going forward, because we now know that all these leaks are accurate, or at the very least 80 to 90% accurate. So my plans are essentially next week I'm going to start putting out videos for each one of the essential upcoming trailers, and we'll talk about them and break down everything that's supposed to be within them. I do videos every single Sunday where I cover the Nintendo Switch games announced every single week. So that's my next video. I'm going to be working on that, but the following video is going to be that, and I'm going to be covering every single one of those upcoming trailers and what all the information that's going to be part of each one of them. So look out for those. If you're new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.